Pieces in Progress is in session.
Woohoo.
All right. Okay.
Okay. I, 29 female, am debating leaving my boyfriend of 2 years, 30 male, over his incompetence. What would you do in my situation? My partner, 30 male, has a diagnosed learning disability. He literally doesn't process information fast enough. I try to keep up, but it gets exhausting when I repeat things twice. He won't even look up from his phone. Everyone keeps telling me how much of a good guy he is, which is frustrating because I know what I deal with every day, and I'm also a good person. I don't know why this triggers me so much, but it does. We were on a trip for a friend's wedding. 15 minutes before we had to leave for the ceremony, he realized he forgot to bring his bow tie to the black tie wedding. We arrived late to the church after the bride walked the aisle because he made the Uber drive around multiple stores trying to find a bow tie. And of course, everyone we met along the way is always just like, poor guy, happens to anyone. The next day, we were taking another flight to go visit my family. He forgot he had medicine in the hotel fridge and didn't remember it until we were at the airport. So we had to ask the taxi driver to drive back to the hotel and pay double the fare, of course. I would have just said fuck the medication personally. When we got to our destination, he complained about the car reservation I made because I selected an automatic car in case I wanted or needed to drive and didn't want to change it to a manual. Yesterday, during a tour, he forgot his charger at the restaurant far from where we were staying and wanted to make the tour guide take us back to get, no, you're out of fucking charger, bud. Today, we're driving to another city and we have to go out of our way to go back and get the effing charger. Instance number 4 on why I'm writing this post is because it was my final straw. I've taken care of everything this trip: flights, stays, tours, restaurants, etc. All except transportation to get to the next city because we weren't sure if we were going to take a bus, train, or road trip. I'm tired and I asked him to make car rental reservations so he could go get a car and I could sleep in a little bit. Well, he did the reservation, but he did it under my name because supposedly I already had an account. When he got there to pick up the car this morning, they of course told him I needed to be there because it was under my name. And of course, I lost it. This has all transpired within the course of a week and a half. Leaving him over this feels a bit sudden, but at the same time, there's a behavioral pattern that has been established since before this trip. Something that it's supposed to be fun and relaxing has been unnecessarily stressful. So first of all, I'm just, where in this was the learning disability? Because this is weaponized incompetence.
And also, too, she doesn't want to leave him over this.
But it's a pattern.
Yeah, exactly. No. This isn't.
It's not this.
Yeah, it's not this. It's this times the 100 times that she's had to deal with it.
Right. I'm really curious what the learning disability is because she felt imperative to add that. But this isn't a learning disability. This isn't, I'm just not understanding.
Mm-hmm.
Right? This is like having a fucking child.
Yeah.
I have to check. You have to make sure, do you have everything? Do you have your pills? Do you have your bow tie? Do you have your keys? Do you have your meds? Do you have your charger? That's fucking exhausting. You don't have a partner. You have a child.
Yeah, and the emotional, what's it called? The emotional
toll.
Yeah, and just like how I'm gonna take everything on.
The weight.
Yeah, the weight of it all.
Oh God.
And you can just feel it from how she writes about it. This isn't about the trip. There's the weight of when they're at home and she has to make sure there's probably food in the fridge. She probably has to make sure that the house looks good. She probably has to remind them, like, did you put your belt on today?
Well, and when I look at this, like the whole car thing, like, oh, I used your name because you had an account. No, you did that so that I'll never ask you to do that again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, it's kind of like there's an episode in that 70s show where he was all like, I just picked the worst thing in the wedding. And then she won't involve me in any of the questioning of it, right? She asked him about silverware and he picked out like silverware that had like fur on the silverware. That's the one he picked for the wedding. And he's like, I did that so that she basically won't ask me to do anything again. And guys have taken that and ran with that shit. They're all like, yeah, I'll just pick the worst thing possible. And then nobody will ever ask my opinion on anything.
And then, so for me, it comes down to like, are you really in a relationship with this person?
Mm-hmm.
Because it seems like he just needs a new mommy.
Mm-hmm.
Is that your kink? No shame if that's your kink, if that's what gets you off. But like at the same time, like you need to have a partner that's also into that.
Mm-hmm.
Because otherwise it is emotionally taxing. And it's unfair. You have one person who they have to do all the planning, they have to do all of this, they have to do all the preparation, they have to do.
Totally random pop on. So sorry about that. We did end up losing some footage throughout here, and so I know we stopped at a certain time point and we do pick back up. There is some still clips missing, so hopefully the rest makes sense. If you have any questions, let me know, and if not, enjoy.
I like this first comment. It says you have permission to break up with him. You can break up with anyone at any time for any reason. It's perfectly okay to break up with this guy. I would suggest you break up as soon as possible before you both get any deeper. I hate that everybody's go-to is like break up,
Yeah.
break up. Like you've invested 2 years of your life with this person. And you said, like, I don't want to break up with him over this, but at the same time, this is a behavioral pattern I recognize that I don't like. Have you talked to him?
I mean, from the post, talk to him where he understands it. Because, I mean, a lot of times, I feel like when people have gotten to the point where they're writing on Reddit, they probably are like, yeah, I've talked to him like 1,000 times.
And we've talked about that.
Mhm.
And my thing is like, sometimes you come to Reddit because you just want a different perspective.
Mhm.
Like, and that's it, right? Even and I talk about this in treatment with my clients is, that's why you brainstorm. You have different people, you have different sounding boards, you talk about things
Mhm.
because they have different ideas. Well, have you tried this? Have you tried this? And then you hear like two ideas and maybe put them together. And there was a comment on here. I was trying to find it. And it was someone who basically said, I'm neurodivergent and I take notes. I create to-do lists. I repeat information back to make sure that I understand what is being said to me. And then they went on to say, also, I'm like really surprised that his problems become everybody's problems. Like, why couldn't have he just taken himself to the store to get a tie? Like, in the grand scheme of things, yes, it's a black tie event, but the bride and groom are not going to be like miffed by one person missing a bow tie. It's
Mhm.
not going to ruin their whole entire image of their wedding. Absolutely true. Second, why couldn't he have just went and got the bow tie and met you there?
Yeah.
Why was it everyone's responsibility to go back and get the phone charger on the tour? And then why did you have to get up the next day early to go get, like, why couldn't he have done that himself? It seems like the frustration is coming from a place of you constantly bailing him out. Have you tried to stop bailing him out?
Mhm. Be like, "Man, that sounds like it's gonna be really tough." Or, and I have to do the same thing. I have ADHD, and so I have to repeat information back. I have to take notes. I have to make calendars. I have to keep myself organized.
To-do list.
To-do list. Not there, no. But if everybody
On the to-do list.
but if everybody's gonna take care of everything for me.
Right. And that's just it, right? And I've had this in my own relationship where I'm like, maybe this is partially my fault
Mhm.
because I've always stepped into this role. I've always done it. Then it always becomes a me thing.
Mhm.
I don't want it to always be a me thing.
Yeah, and you also become attached to the outcome of this thing too now. And now that you're attached to the outcome, if it doesn't turn out good, now it's my fault somehow. And it's like, but this has been your thing the whole entire time. So why?
You've always done that.
Yeah. And so,
You're right, I have.
yeah. And so, I mean, but also too, you're right about the comments. They do really go fast to break up really fast. And, the reason why that happens is because people feel emotionally insecure or they don't feel emotionally safe in past relationships or maybe their current relationship. And they're like, yeah, if you break up with them, you gain emotional safety. You do. When you break up with someone, you separate from them, you gain emotional safety to a certain extent because now you're your own person again. You get to do what you want to do.
Yeah, but there's also a caveat that sometimes that emotional safety takes time to
Yeah.
achieve based on the type of relationship you were in and the dynamic you have within that relationship. Because sometimes you can be in a very controlling relationship, but there's a level of safety to it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna leave it there because that's a whole nother.
I know, right?
But it's like you're his mom, and I didn't see the part in there where it was like this is where his diagnosis gets him fucked up.
Mm-hmm.
Like you said, he has a problem understanding verbal information.
Mm-hmm.
How does that equate to him forgetting his medication, his charger? It seems like this verbal processing disorder has translated to him needing someone to take care of him, and someone's always stepped in and been like, "Oh, you poor thing," and that's a gig. He knows. Oh, I forgot. I need you to do that for me,
Mm-hmm.
babe. I forgot this. Like, I'm sorry, but I live an hour away from the airport. Personally,
Mm-hmm.
if we got somewhere and we're like, "Oh shit, we forgot that," sucks.
Yeah. Yeah, we're not getting it.
Right? You'll have to go in the airport and spend $40 fucking on a new charger.
Yeah, and this dynamic happens in a lot of relationships, though. The mommy syndrome.
Caretaking. I'm
Yeah.
not going to say caretaking because it's not just women.
Yeah.
There are men who do it with women, and there are women who do it with men.
Yeah.
It's parenting. It's caretaking. It's like I didn't sign up to have another child, and yet somehow I do.
hmm Isn't it crazy though that whenever I see people get into relationships, there's no way that someone gives off this persona of "please take care of me when we get
No,
together."
I'm
right?
gonna fucking tell you what it is, Kelly. I'm gonna
Yeah.
tell you what the fuck it is. Okay, when you first get with someone and they're like a little forgetful, it's cute.
Yeah.
It's cute. Oh, I got you. Let me take care of you.
Yeah.
And then like 2 years later, it's this fucking pattern and you're fucking resentful and you're like, this is fucking bullshit. But you okayed it from the start.
Yeah.
And that's what people don't realize is like you set a tone when you get with someone. If you say, I'm not going to do X, Y, and Z, and then you do it,
hmm
you ain't got no fucking boundaries.
Yeah. And the power dynamic, right? And it's like, yeah, so I mean, people first get with someone, they're all like, this person, they might even lead in certain situations or they do this stuff. And a lot of times I hate to say it, what I've seen at least is that like one person will be like, okay, I got him. Now I can just like chill and not do shit for the relationship. Cause I got him. Like we're done. We're done. Like, well, there's nothing else to do. You know, hold my beer. Like we're good.
Right. And a lot of times it is that. It's just like, I'm going to make it to where I can't live without you. And you're going to take care of me. And then I'm just going to become more and more incompetent. I'm not going to know how to do this. I'm not going to know how to do that. And that's just what it's going to be.
hmm
And then you're going to take care of me because that's how I have you. And so many people define their worth on what they're able to do within their relationship, what they're able to do for their partner, the skills they're able to provide. That they don't even recognize they're getting sucked into this dynamic until it's too late.
Well, it's kind of like the whole, red flag, green flag, right? Like, what is a red flag in a relationship? And a lot of times people use that because I need help determining what's a good behavior, what's a bad behavior, right? And so some people's red flags is, oh, maybe they're not the greatest with money, which could be a red flag for sure. Oh, they tend to not do this, or they tend to do this. And it's really like micro stuff. And so for me, for instance, a red flag might be like, oh, when I ask them to do something, they don't follow through. And a lot of people excuse that red flag. They're like, well, the situation was this, and that's why. Yeah, right. It's like, but you don't know how to follow through on things. Is that something that I have a value? Because some people don't value that.
I was just talking about this in a group that I was doing not too long ago, and it was about if you tell me you're going to do something, I'm going to show up at this day on this time, right? Just an example. That's my expectation.
hmm
You gave me your word. Did you promise me? No. Did we shake hands on it? No. Did you put it on something? No. But I value that what you say is what you do.
hmm
So if you don't show up and you don't communicate that, you've taught me I can't trust you. Your word is not worth anything.
But it's crazy in the beginning of the relationship, somebody will do that.
People will excuse it.
They excuse it.
Oh, well, yeah, it's flat tire. Dude, I was watching this fucking TikTok or Facebook reel something, and the guy had his phone, he said and record, hey, babe, I just have a quick second really quickly. I wanted to call you and tell you I love you. I'm really busy at work. I'll talk to you later. 5 seconds.
hmm
And it's that if he wanted to, he would. Energy.
Yeah.
Like sometimes you don't have time. Like you don't have 5 seconds. My husband has called me from a fucking porta potty.
hmm
I'm taking a shit and I had a second and I wanted to let you know I thought of you. And I'm like, thanks. Try not to read into that too much. But it's like, you make time when and where you can. That's the point of it.
Yeah, and be consistent about it. And yeah, in the beginning of relationships, it's really hard just to be like, oh yeah, that is a red flag, or hey, that's a red flag. Well, and they say in the recovery programs, putting pen to paper, right? And so if you're ever in a relationship, you're in doubt about a new relationship, put pen to paper. Do they have the qualities that you want out of a relationship? I mean, really want.
Well, but I think that's the thing. When you're new to recovery and you're getting in a relationship, you don't know the qualities you want. You just want someone to be there. You just want to be attached. You just want to have connection. And you think that all this like traumatic bonding, stress, chaos is like, oh, it's not. You just don't want to go it alone. And so you pick someone who just happens to show up And then you become trauma bond.
Yeah, I was about to say trauma bonding. I was like, okay, yeah, yeah. Some people might not even know what trauma bonding is.
Trauma bonding is when you experience intense situations with someone and that bonds you together.
Hmm.
And trauma is whether real or perceived threat. So it might not be something that we would recognize as threatening, but they went through this situation. Like, look at Stockholm, right?
Hmm.
Stockholm syndrome. That was a very traumatic experience, and they were bonded to their captors. That's a whole other can of worms. I'm not going to get into it,
Hmm.
but that is an example of what trauma bonding can do.
Yeah.
And then there's like this um, warped kind of sense of like loyalty, attachment. We've gone through so much.
Especially in treatment, right? Especially like inpatient treatment, we saw a lot. I'm seeing a lot of trauma bonding, and people are like, "We're going through this together," and then they end up out of treatment, and they're all like, "But we're still going through this together. I mean, you're doing dope every day, but I'm still going through this with you, and we should stay together no matter what because we started out in inpatient treatment
And I
together."
want to really highlight this is not just addictive.
Oh yeah, no, trauma bonding goes.
This can also happen in normal relationships. It can happen with cheating, because now there's a thing called the betrayal bind, right?
Mm.
Or trauma bonds. There's a lot of really great books on it. The Trauma Bond by Patrick Carnes and the Betrayal Bind. I can't remember who that's by, but there's a lot of really good information on basically how when something intense happens in your relationship, it can actually bond you together more because of the perceived threat that is happening.
Hmm.
Sucks you in. Whereas some people are like, I don't care. Like, cheating is cheating, and like if you cheat on me, it's over.
Yeah.
Okay. Be in a relationship and have that happen, and then we'll have a conversation about how do you really feel about that. I think it's easy to say, like, if my partner cheats on me, I don't want to be with them. And then be on the other side of it and experience it and then walk through it. Those are two very different things.
I think so too. And even like with cheating, a lot of people be like, well, once a cheater, always a cheater. And then people will just be like, yeah, so you're breaking up with that person, right? And I'm like, whoa, why did somebody have to break up with somebody?
No, and that's a really good point, because it says people can't change. People never change. People are
Yeah.
who they are, and you have to believe them the first time they tell you. Well, then that means that I'm still a fucking low-life, fucking drug addict piece of shit, because people can't change.
Yeah.
That's who I am. Like, on paper, that's who I am.
Yeah, and I'm not sitting there saying you should just trust the whole world or anything, but also too, like people make mistakes and people.
Right. But when we get back to this, because I don't want to venture off too far, this is a defined pattern of behavior that's been happening for 2 years. And he has a cop out, he has an excuse, and he has an enabler.
Mm-hmm.
And it seems like his whole friend group is enabling him. And I just wonder if she broke up with him and the friend group really saw the level of incompetence he engages in. And I'm sure because of how she wrote this, and this is my assumption, I know we shouldn't assume, but because how she wrote it, the opening line, he has a learning disability. I'm sure that's the cop out for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
There's a learning disability.
Yeah, it's like I should just be understanding to that, and like, I mean, do I agree to that there should be levels of understanding? Sure, that does not mean just because you have a learning disability doesn't mean that there should be a level of I'm going to do something for you, because that's also saying that someone with a learning disability can't do things.
Right. And so we had a really good conversation last night. So Herman's autistic, my younger son. And he was like, I've been really depressed lately. He's going to be 13 on Saturday. And he's like, I've been really depressed lately. And I'm like, okay, let's talk about like what's going on. What's got you so depressed, bud? And he's like, just like growing up. And it's like, oh my gosh. Okay, what about growing up as you so depressed? And he was like, I just don't know, like, how am I gonna take care of myself? And I'm like, God, you're 12. You're gonna be 13, in like 7 days. And he was like, yeah, but then one day I'm gonna have to do all this, and I just don't know how I'm gonna do it. And I'm like, hey, you're autistic. Like, you can do anything you want. Like, your autism doesn't prevent you from doing anything. And then he started talking about, well, like, I can't relate to some people and this and that. And I said, okay, and I can't relate to some people and I'm not autistic. Like, and then I started telling him, I'm like, look at your sisters. Like, they grew up, they did this, they did that. And he's like, okay, are they autistic? Like, yeah, I'm not going to say that. I was like, no, but, and then it's like, oh, okay, well, what about this one? This happened to this one. And I was like, exactly. And look at them. Like, Do you think that they can't take care of themselves?
Mm-hmm.
Like, they still manage. Like, people go through things and people have diagnosis, but it doesn't define who they are as a person. And I'm really heavy on the, like, just because you're autistic doesn't mean you get a pass. You don't get to go like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't do that, I'm autistic.
I mean, so like, I mean, look at I think me and you talked about the show Love on the Spectrum.
I think we've talked.
Yeah. And I really love that show, because it really has real people with autism that really go through the struggle of autism. And I mean, to the point where some of them are unable to work, or if they do work, it's very minimal work and stuff because like of how severe, there's a spectrum of autism, right?
Yeah.
And then it also has people on the spectrum that actually do have jobs and they find something they really love and they get to do it and everything and they get to have their own lives and everything like that. And so I mean, Love on the Spectrum kind of gives you that piece of like when I saw one of the people on there, he was moving out of his parents' house. So I was like, oh, now he was a little older guy, sure, but he was moving out. And sometimes also too though, if you looked at it was the grandparents. He was moving out of the grandparents' house. If you look at it, a lot of parents and grandparents see an autistic kid and they're like, well, they can never live on their own. And then so then that becomes that is the solution.
Yes.
Like they just can't. There's just no way. And so I kind of see it like the grandparents are kind of like, oh, now, at first now he wants to move out. And now that he's older, they're very much like, no, he can do it. It's possible. Like,
Yeah.
and I think that,
Well, I think that mindset is everything too. Like, if my son was growing up in a household where we were telling him, like, baby, you're autistic, you can't do that.
yeah,
Baby, you're autistic, you'll never be able to do that. He doesn't grow up in that household. Autistic doesn't equal you can't.
mhm.
Autistic just means that you see the world a little different. And he hit me with this shit one day, and I'm like, he goes, doesn't everybody see the world a little different? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, so is everybody autistic?
You know
I said,
something?
you know what? Maybe, buddy, maybe.
Well, when they talk about don't be your diagnosis, be your superpower, ADHD and autism and stuff is a superpower.
It
And
can be.
it can be,
But
because
it can be debilitating, and I will say that,
Mhm.
and I agree there are people who let their diagnosis be their disability.
Yeah. And let it be your superpower means that, like, yeah, I have ADHD, but that means that I figure out problems in such a different way
Mhm.
to enable more people, more functionality for different things in my life,
Yeah.
for work and everything. I think, well, if I do it this way, then more people would get access. More people could get this.
Right.
And so that's how it becomes a superpower. And also, too, if I have a checklist everywhere I go, that becomes a superpower because once you can identify the problem, then you have to help work on getting a solution. I take medication and that helps tremendously. And I went years and years without medication and I did okay without medication. I do better with medication. And I would say that ADHD is my superpower. And I have checklists. I have this. I have different things that help. Even with medication, medication helps manage a little part of my ADHD. That's it.
Do you see how many notebooks I have?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And so
And each one is for something different.
mhm.
And that's really, and the notebook thing actually wasn't because of my ADHD. The notebook actually was because of my brain injury.
Mhm.
And a lot of people don't realize. And when people find out, like, oh, you had a brain injury? I've had a couple.
Yeah.
And they're like, how are you so good at remembering if you've had a traumatic brain injury to your prefrontal cortex? So I fucking write shit down.
Mhm.
And like they'll tell you if you have a brain injury, writing it down helps because the way you are learning the information, storing the information, and then when you write it down, it restores it different and it
Mhm.
actually helps move it so that you remember it and process it in a different way. And so I'll have clients who I haven't seen for years, and then I'll meet with them and it'll all come back to me, and they're like, "How do you remember that?" And I'm like,
Oh yeah.
"It's written down in my brain."
Mhm. And I'm a real techie person, like super techie tech. And the science is if you do write it down, it actually does store your stuff better. It is more effective to write things down after you learn them. If you have ADHD, TBI, traumatic brain injury, any kind of learning stuff going on, if you write it down, your brain just processes it differently. Well, Kelly, am I ever going to go back and look at that stuff? Not necessarily. But even if you don't go back and look at it, your brain has now stored that in a way different way.
No, but I do, and what I found is like it reignites it, and I'm like, oh shit, and I'll make all these neural connections without even trying. And that's really cool for someone like me because of my ADHD and because of my TBI. Like a lot of people think, oh, those are debilitating things. I really was encouraged after my last TBI to quit my job and get on disability. And I was like, why would I do that?
Mm.
And the person telling me was like, because they won't deny you. Like, this is perfect. And I'm like, they're like, you'd get $1,500 a month. I'm like, how would I survive on that?
Or do I want to survive on that?
No, I was like, how would I?
Yeah.
And I did. Actually, I didn't want to succumb to my injury. And that's what it really was. I wasn't going to give up. Like, oh.
And you know, something I haven't mentioned about this post is I have a learning disability. I have 3 of them. One of them is like a lot of people have is dysgraphia, which is like where my brain processes how it goes to my hand and everything and how I write. So that basically just is really smart language for I have bad handwriting, like horrifically horrible handwriting. In my field, when I first started out, everybody used to handwrite their assessments, and I was typing my stuff up on Word, and they're like, "What? Why are you typing your assessments?" And I was like, "Because you do not want to see my handwriting. I can't read my own handwriting.
Thanks.
If I want to have good handwriting, it takes me probably like 4 sentences. Probably takes me an hour to write good, where you can read it."
No, I just
Yeah.
and it like looks pretty without trying.
hmm Yeah, and also one of my learning disabilities is severe dyslexia, which some people think that means I just get words or I get letters backwards, but actually severe dyslexia is actually where you can get full sentences backwards, you can get words, letters, numbers, you can get items in a list backwards. Everything in the world can be backwards, and so the communication can be really tough because, like, wait, are you trying to say this or are you trying to say this? And it's like,
And that can come off as really dense.
Yeah.
And really sometimes it can come off as incompetence. And it's like, and I'm really big on the communication piece because I think that if someone is trying to ask you, are you saying this or are you saying that? It's not that they're trying to be manipulative. It's that they're really trying to understand the language. So, and a lot of people lose their patience and get frustrated and they're like, whatever.
Yeah. And I've had people lose their patience with me because I'm like, well, wait, are you trying to say this or this? Or like, wait, why are you asking that way? It's because
I used to get frustrated with you about that because I thought you were fucking playing me. I'm like, Kelly, we've been over this. Why? Why aren't you getting this? Like, we've talked about this 5 times. And you're like, yeah, but just like one more question. Yeah, but one more question. And I'm like, no more question.
And the severe dyslexia can actually come through like that. You can actually get items mixed up from a past memory that you had with somebody. And so it can really affect your life across the board.
Yeah.
But again, I didn't sit there and say, okay, I got severe dyslexia. I guess that's just the life, you know? I guess that's just.
Yeah, you have like a really good job. You are responsible for lots of people and lots of clientele. And, you know, and that's the piece. When I look at something like this and I see this, like, oh, they have a learning disability. What does that have to do with the price of tea in China?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm not against if someone's in a relationship and let's say, I don't think this is an instance, I just don't, but let's say the learning disability is interfering with the actual thing of the relationship. There are specialists out there that specialize in learning disabilities so that you can become more enabled to run your own life.
Yeah.
So like
but it should not ever fall on your partner.
Exactly.
That, because that's where animosity and resentment come in. Unless your partner like wants to do that. And I have friends that, you know, one of them is physically disabled in the relationship and the partner is the primary caretaker. But there was a lot of conversations moving into that. And there has been, and they discuss it, and there's other people that come in and there's other things that they do so that it's not just because being your partner's caretaker takes away from the relationship.
Yeah, it does.
You know, and when you look at it like this, like, how are you emotionally connected with this person that you're basically parenting?
Yeah. And also too, with this relationship right now, I feel like she's emotionally caretaking probably for him, most likely too. And
Absolutely.
yeah, and it sucks that I wish that sometimes we could be like, man, what if this person would come on the show and talk about it? I would love to talk to them about it.
I'm like, let's have it out. Come on.
Yeah.
We'll talk about their problems in real time. Because I need more fucking context.
Yeah. Yeah. Because Because like you said, the question about, what's the conversation look like when you have about this? But I can also just imagine what the conversation is like because I've heard this same exact scenario a lot. And a lot of times the context is, yeah, I talked to him about it. I talked to him, I was blue in the face. I told him this. I told him that. I told him this. And I went over this. I have people do diagrams for
Yeah, but
or,
my question is, were they having the same conversation at the same time as you?
yeah. Well, and also too, were you having the conversation with yourself and they were just in the room?
Right. And then also, like, were you being direct or were you having a subliminal conversation?
Yeah. And that is a problem. A lot of people don't have direct conversations. And some people, they're like, well, how would they not get the undertone of that? And I was like, they're not going to get that.
Right. Because some people don't.
Yeah.
Like, common sense is not common in the world we live in.
Yeah. And sometimes I don't get some texts on what someone's saying. I was like, wait, so you're saying you were pissed about that? I was like, I would have never seen that.
And I am very good about that. I can be very, I don't want to say emotionally manipulative, but if I have conflict happening and I have to be in and or around people, I don't want that coming off.
Mhm.
I don't want people to be able to read that. So I decompartmentalize. Or not I compartmentalize.
Mhm.
I put that in a box and save it for later. And I'm like, just da da da. And some people will be like, well, that's not really authentic. No, it is. I'm being authentic. I'm just not letting you see a part of me that I feel is emotionally fragile. And or I'm really big on, like, if you're having conflict in your relationship, you don't take it to Facebook. You don't take it to Reddit. You don't take it to any type of social media and air it for the world and ask their opinions, especially if you're going to continuously go back and forth and try to do this. Now, I am willing to, like, talk about things that I've been through historically and how I got through them. And that's not being fake or inauthentic. That's just keeping what is emotionally raw off the table. I don't want everybody touching it and then trying to tell me how it should be or influence my opinions or my thoughts or my process. That's a protective factor for me. And I'm not shaming anyone who goes to Reddit. Like, that's your process, that's your process. Mine is not that. Because historically I have done that in other relationships and it's caused damage.
Well, and also too, I mean, depending on your situation, it seems like this person does not like legitimately like, hey, what do you guys think? But sometimes people are looking for co-signers before they're even looking for advice.
I get that, she's like, this just happened. This isn't what it's about. And she said, this is a behavioral pattern I am recognizing.
Mhm.
She's just giving an instinct of something that has happened in the last 10 days
Yeah.
and how much accumulation has happened within that 10 days that has got her feeling very frustrated. And there was another commenter who said, my vacation time is very limited. I would be pissed if this is what I was having to deal with.
Mhm.
I just went to Hawaii for 5 days. Everything was planned.
Yeah.
I think as we were leaving, I was like, oh, fuck, I forgot my charger on the nightstand. My husband goes, oh, you mean your charger that I put in my backpack?
Mhm.
Because I was like, I wasn't going to say turn around. The airport was like an hour. Nope.
Yeah.
I fucked that up. I lost it. Randy's like, no, actually, I got it because my husband does a final sweep. And because I am forgetful of little shit, when we go places and we do things, I've always been a final sweep of a hotel room.
Me too.
And my husband will always verbalize the final sweep. Do you have this? Do you have this? Do you have your purse? Do you have your meds? Do you have your ID? Do you have your wallet? Do you have your this? Do you have your that? And I'll be like, oh shit, I forgot my charger. I'm
You know,
fucking queen of forgetting that bitch.
I just went to a conference at a hotel sweep and I forgot the bar. So I brought with me.
Oh no!
I was pissed. I was like, I did the sweep and everything. I still forgot the bar of soap. And I was like, dang. And these are the things that we do to help ourselves. In this situation, for one thing, I think there's some great counselors out there that can help with people with learning disabilities that can help them live a really full life. But also, too, coaching. There's a lot of good coaches. Insurance doesn't pay for that crap, though, so that sucks. So you're paying out of pocket for it. But what I've seen is that there's actual ADHD coaches, and that's something I've seen really work well with people who have learning disabilities is getting and coaching is just, if you go back to middle school and high school when you have learning disabilities, they have coaches there too. It isn't always registered counselors and stuff that are helping with the ADHD or like, oh hey, this thing. And so I think that with this particular issue and problem and stuff is like, yeah, talking about it, but also too, the learning disability, I think, is only a surface level issue. I don't think it's really the deep core issue.
So again, she really highlighted that was the opening line. And she even defined he has difficulty processing information, verbal information. All the examples she gave had nothing to do with understanding verbal information.
Yeah.
Not a fucking one.
Yeah, I'd be curious. Never thought about this in the past, but I'd be curious with someone like him, like when you're in a relationship, and if you were to give a visual of what I'm feeling and what I'm going through and the process of what we just did. I wonder, like they make these AI videos. You can put in the scenario and it'll make the whole video for you to be like really cool looking stick figures almost or fake anime. I'd be curious if she fed this all into the AI and it made it almost into a little video for him, and then also in the video, it expressed her frustration, her feelings, and everything around this whole situation. I wonder if he would understand it better. I never thought about it like that.
I don't know why I would go through the trouble of making an AI cartoon versus just talking.
Well, no. What I'm saying is an addition to. So and also too, it's not a lot of work. You put in the summary of what happened, it makes it for you. But I would say I'm just curious because some people do learn better if they watch it on a video. Because some people they hear you say like, I don't like when you do this. I don't like when you do that, and you become noise in the background.
So, and this is where I'm going to totally disagree with you. I shouldn't have to use a video or this or that. If I become noise, that's where the problem lies.
Yeah, for sure.
You've learned to tune me out. And if that is an issue, that for me, I don't know if I would be okay with being noise to my partner. If I'm background noise, if I'm not a priority to you, that's where lies the problem. I'm noise in your background, but I have to caretake you in the front.
And I totally agree with you. That needs to be the larger conversation. I guess for me is that when I think about AI animation video for explanation of what I'm going through, is I wonder if that can break through somebody like better because they visually learn better. I'm curious if it would even work, if there's any research on it. I've not even done that.
I'm just gonna say, like, I feel like we live in a world, and this is where the conversation turns a little. I feel like we live in a world where this is more like connection than anything. And I feel like doing that is feeding into that.
And I would say this, that if anybody's ever going to think about doing this should not be the go-to for every conversation. This should be something I think if I ever think someone should utilize it, it would be for something like a once, like, hey, do you understand? Like,
and that's where I disagree, because once you do it, then do that again, because that made sense to me. And then I have to put all this forth effort, and no, because you're telling me I'm noise and you're better connected to your phone than I am.
Yeah.
I would, if someone said, here, I made this video for you to watch, it was a cartoon depicting a scenario or a situation, I'd be like, so you can do this, but you can't communicate with me? And I get some people are better at expressing themselves that way.
Yeah.
But if I'm noise and I need to watch my phone to communicate with you, I'm sorry. The communication has reached an impasse. If we have to use, I have to use my phone to get you to understand where I'm coming from. This is a convenience tool.
Yeah.
This takes away from this.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, it can go a different way for sure. It can make it where
I would be pissed if someone used AI to communicate in my relationship with me. That's too fucking far. And listen, I'm not knocking it. I get that people use AI to like sort through their feelings, to say things better, to communicate. I'm not saying that, but I'm saying like full on fucking, you're using AI as a therapeutic tool, as a fucking best friend, as a fucking this. And me and fucking ChatGPT think that. The fuck is ChatGPT gonna say in my relationship?
Well, and also too, I think of ChatGPT for AI is for me is I use it. I think I do use it often. I use it a lot.
People use it all the time.
Yeah.
I'm not knocking it. Use it. But I'm saying if your ChatGPT is your fucking marriage therapist, you have a fucking problem.
Well, and also too, you should really make sure that like if you're using it like that, it's a secondary thing, meaning that like it can be wrong. It's not it's a computer.
When I've used ChatGPT, it says, please ensure blah blah blah, AI can be incorrect. Okay,
yeah, so when I tell people if you're going to use it as advice, should I talk to my husband or wife about this XYZ, and you ask ChatGPT, so you take that information and you go, that's interesting, and then you log it and you think about it, but you don't sit there and go, well, ChatGPT told me to do this, so let me go do it.
I also want to point out that AI psychosis is real.
Oh yeah.
that there are people who like. Did you ever see Kendra on TikTok who was in love with her psychiatrist because ChatGPT told?
Oh, I mean, I've seen cases like that though.
Bro, I watched that whole series. It was like watching a fucking plane wreck on a train wreck.
Hmm.
You just couldn't fucking look away.
Yeah.
ChatGPT said. Otherwise, he wouldn't have done. And the reality is ChatGPT is designed to tell you what you want it to. You can sit there and ask ChatGPT, what about this? Well, what if da 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 happened? And you can teach it what it is you want to hear. That's artificial intelligence because it's telling you what you want to hear. It's just echoing it. You can create your ChatGPT to say and do what you want it to.
Well, and you can also make it where it makes it less telling you what you want to do, right? Give it the right prompt and everything. But how many people are doing that?
Right, because and this is it. And this is my personal opinion why AI is such a big thing is because people want people who agree, who validate.
Mhm.
That's what AI does.
Yeah, ChatGPT totally validates you. When you take it in, you really got to log it as, well, that's an interesting perspective, but I'm not going to go that way with it. If you're making all your decisions based on it, it could be really wrong. It could really take you. I knew somebody that was doing their diet program through there, and ChatGPT did the whole diet for them. That's great, right? Well, what happened was ChatGPT got the protein wrong, and they weren't doing enough protein in the day because they got the protein numbers wrong somehow. And ChatGPT can make little mistakes like that. That's why it says it needs to be double checked.
Yeah.
And also too, as far as behavioral health goes and ChatGPT and all that stuff, like it's got some good stuff, but it's just not there.
Yeah, I used ChatGPT for math.
Yeah. Generally and most of the time, I would say 99% of the time.
And it was wrong.
Oh, what? It was?
On some of it, yeah. Me and math are not besties.
How long ago did you use ChatGPT for math?
Couple.
See, and and that's something else about it. It's always everlasting and growing. A couple of years ago, it probably did get it wrong a lot because it's all like, no, I don't know how to read what you're saying and stuff. I mean, could AI help out this relationship? I don't know. And the animation idea, my idea behind that is more of a breakthrough conversation because you can keep on having that conversation with a person who's just not understanding you.
Yeah, my whole thing is if we're at a point where you're trying to use a video to tell me what's going on in our relationship, that our communication is broken.
Well, for sure. Yeah, no. And that's something to admit. Like, hey, I still love you and I care about you. My communication's gotten so bad that I want to show you this video and I want to know, like, what feelings come up for you when you watch it.
But say this was happening in my relationship, I would look at my husband and be like, I'm not interested in having
Well, of course.
I'm not interested in having a conversation with a video.
Yeah.
If you want to relay to me the contents, like, hey, I saw a video, this came up, it made me think this, it made me feel this, it reminded me of that. I'm willing to have that conversation, but don't send me a video and then be like, let's talk about it.
Well, no, and I know you wouldn't be okay with that.
I wouldn't.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be okay with that either. However, this guy, he might be okay with it.
I think that what needs to happen in this relationship is that she needs to stop coddling him.
Mm-hmm.
And enabling him and start letting him suffer the fucking consequences. And
that's true.
I'm not your mommy. It's not my job to take care of you.
Yeah. And I think that's true. I think that conversation is important to happen as well. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I guess I bring up the animation things. I'm curious about the way people understand things and whether or not it can break through people.
I think that he has a whole slew of people who enable him because he's a good guy.
Yeah. Well, and that's probably, that is true, like, oh, he's willing to take his shirt off and to anybody and give it off his back and all that stuff. And that gets read as like all his defaults.
But what you don't see is like when they're busy doing all this for everyone else, they're neglecting their emotional needs of their partner. They're not fulfilling their obligations within the relationship. They're doing this for everyone else and it's a fucking show. See what a good person I am?
Yeah.
Well, I'm not.
No, and you're right. No, that happens quite often in relationships. I'm going to produce out to the world that I'm a really great person, but in my relationship, I'm actually like really, crap. And so it's a hard thing to work through. And this relationship, I mean, they got some big conversations that happen in front of them. And sometimes what really sucks is that one partner will go to another to be like, to have this big conversation, kind of like heavy in weight. Like she might come to him and be really want to like have an impact when I have this conversation. And he's like sitting there and he's listening, meaning that he hears the words, but he don't understand actually anything she's actually saying.
Right. And that is part of his disability. So how do we get to a place where we can communicate where you understand? Maybe it is in smaller pieces.
Yeah.
Maybe it is in.
I like smaller pieces. That's always good too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like sometimes people try to fix the relationship in an hour conversation.
Not a good idea.
Yeah. So why not have the conversation like, hey, I want to talk about this one thing.
I remember one time I was not with my husband. It was a relationship before him. And I can't remember what the disagreement was about. I was not willing to fucking move on my stance, and neither was my partner at the time. And I just said, oh, seems like we've reached an impasse.
Mm-hmm.
And they just looked at me and they said, what's that? It's a fucking dead end, bud.
Yeah.
You're not going to move. I'm not going to move. And I'm like, we can't do that. We're in a relationship. We have to compromise.
Wow. Sounds like.
Fucking who?
Yeah.
Just fucking who? Because I'm not willing to move on this.
Yeah.
And neither are you. So that means this is a fucking impasse.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I just remember, like, my partner at the time was like, that's not acceptable. And I'm like, okay, well, compromise away on your end. Not mine.
I think that's so funny because, like, someone sitting there saying, well, that can't happen. Like, what are you talking about? Definitely can happen. Like,
no, it's this weird thing that people think because you're in a relationship, it's an automatic. You have to do this for me. I have had plenty of conversations. I won't be an obligation,
mm-hmm.
and I won't be obligated in my relationship. I'm in my relationship. You have to think too, right? And this is a TikTok or a reel I got somewhere. I sent it to my husband the other day, and it says, remember, your wife is the only person who chooses to love you.
Mm-hmm.
Your mother loves you because you're her child.
Mm-hmm.
Same with the dad. Your siblings love you because you're siblings. Your children love you because you're their parent. Your wife, your partner, your husband, whatever, they're the only person that comes in your life and says, I want you,
Mm-hmm.
and I love you, and I choose you every fucking day. I don't want to be obligated to take care of you, and I don't want you to feel obligated to take care of me. I want you to choose me. And the moment I become an obligation, the conversation changes.
Mm-hmm. And you know what it is? A lot of people don't know what it means to actually choose somebody. You know, choosing someone means getting up and doing what needs to get done. It means leading. It means
not throwing it in their face,
yeah,
not making them feel bad.
I did all this stuff.
I had a conversation with my husband when I had my TBI a couple of years ago. I told him, you should. It was bad. Yeah, I mean, you saw me. I was not in a healthy place.
Mm-hmm.
I got really sick. I couldn't take care of myself. I couldn't do the basic fucking things. And I was embarrassed that I needed
Mm-hmm.
someone to take care of me. And he chose to. And he did not like that.
Because you weren't used to it.
Well, and also because I felt like he was obligated.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I was frustrated. I didn't want him to be obligated to have to do this. And every day he woke up and he chose to take care of me. He chose to stay. And I told him, you should leave, you should leave, you should leave. And, we had a conversation about it, and we were having this conversation about something else. And he said, I really felt like when you were going through that, I held the emotional responsibility of our relationship. Absolutely, you did, 100%. I was not in a place to hold anything in that time. And it really went to show he stepped up in this way that was like unimaginably attractive for me. I couldn't imagine him doing that. We were already married. We'd already been together. We already chose each other. But that to me solidified, like, this is my person.
Mm-hmm.
Because we went through this thing and he chose me and he didn't have.
And what's crazy is this one right here in the conversation, she probably has a similar example because she knows that how good of a man he can be. She knows what he can be. And so she stays for it.
Potential will blind you. I mean, listen,
Yeah.
It works out sometimes. And I really am like not big on telling people that, because sometimes potential will keep you blinded. Potential will keep you from meeting your person.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes that potential is your person.
Mm-hmm. And also, too, when it comes down to it, when Troy did all that stuff and everything, I always try to ask guys, so how long are you going to keep up with doing it? Because some guys do that because they're like, oh, my person's going through this thing, so I'm going to do this thing, which is great. That's a beautiful thing. I'm glad they did it. Went through thing. Now, how do you keep that up for the entirety of the relationship? You can. Like, you can keep it up. Like,
you can. And that's the thing. That is a big thing.
Yeah.
Now, has he regressed here and there? Absolutely. And I think that's normal in your relationship.
Yeah.
But then it's like he steps back into it. And I don't have to tell him.
Mm.
And that's the fucking part that's the part.
Yep.
That's where it sells me every time. And I'm like, that's fucking hot, dude.
Mhm.
Like when you step into it and you fucking lead and you're the fucking man, that's fucking hot.
Mhm.
I don't care who you are.
Yeah, and just not enough people when it comes to all this, the leading part, they lead for a certain portion of the relationship and they go, okay, now I don't need to do it anymore.
I
It
know-
sucks.
I think people get scared.
Yeah.
I think people get scared.
Mhm.
I think that he doesn't have to leave because he knows he got a cop out. I have a learning disability.
Mhm.
What does that have to do with nothing?
Yeah.
Not a goddamn thing. You can negotiate every single thing within your relationship at any point in time. And just because it's been a certain way doesn't mean it has to stay that way.
That's correct.
Negotiation is the tool you need to use.
Mhm. Well, I'm curious. We'll see what happens with these guys. Maybe we save our Reddit posts now, so now we can check for updates. I know, and find out what happens. But sometimes they delete them. They're like, "Oh, this is too much," and then like people delete the Reddit post. That sucks. I'm like, don't delete the post. Keep it. I want to see what happens. Like, do you take all the advice? Do you break up?
Maybe they go viral and they're like,
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think that's what happens because we had a Reddit post that did go viral. It was everywhere on Reddit. And I went to go put our link on there to say that we talked about it or whatever. And I couldn't comment no more. It was done.
I think I remember that one also went and had some other stuff within the comments about.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It got intense.
Yeah.
And so some people turn off the comments. So I totally get it and understand it, though. Even though Reddit is no one knows who's who or whatever, you're being very vulnerable in that moment. And
I think that's another layer of why people go there is because they can bear it all with anonymity.
I tell you now, people better be careful though. We've seen couples or people who find people on Reddit. They find their wife or girlfriend on Reddit somehow. They're able to figure it out.
Oh, I've seen it.
Yeah. So
I've seen it.
either they figure out what their Reddit name is.
Or it's the story.
It's the story, that too. They go through advice and relationships Reddit and they're able to see it. Or they know their name on Reddit or some other kind of thing and they're able to figure it out. I'll tell you right now, if you're a person and you go read and find your person on Reddit and they're talking about this, I understand it might not be, I get it, Reddit's not everybody's thing. And you might feel kind of embarrassed that they did this, but I would just suggest to get curious about what they wrote here. But just be like, man, I'm really curious on what they feel and what they mean by all this. And, talk about it later.
That's just it. I think that enough people don't get curious. They get defensive.
Yeah. Because
it's about winning. It's about being right.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. Because if you get curious about it instead of getting defensive, you're going to have a better conversation about it. Because the whole reason people go to Reddit is because they don't feel emotionally safe with their partner.
Sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, emotional safety is on a scale. Like, you looked at a scale of 1 to 10. I'm saying 10 being super safe, 1 being unsafe, right? I'm saying, they don't feel comfortable enough, probably on a 2 or 3 or something like that. It's not like a 10 emotional safety. I think there's layers to it, too, as well.
I think there are layers to it. No, I was just going to say, if anybody else has some thoughts or opinions or wants to weigh in, please email them into us. piecesinprogress@gmail.com. We're also on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. We'd love to hear from you. It's just a messy space, having authentic conversations, something like that. Anyways, same time.
That's it.